Okay, good afternoon to everyone, or good morning, depends on where you are. Welcome to the third keynote speech of ITSC 2020. It's the third plenary session also of the conference during the second day. Thanks to all of those of you who managed to join at practically at the end of the second day, which had a series of sessions as well as some workshops. I see that our keynote speaker is already here. So allow me to introduce our third keynote speaker, Dr. Georgia Ifatopoulou. She is the Deputy Director and Research Director of the Hellenic Institute of Transport at the Center for Research and Technology, Hellas. She's actually the group leader at the group that I work as well, under her guidance. The title of her keynote speech today is The Future of Urban Mobility and City Logistics after COVID-19. A few words about Dr. Ifatopoulou's achievements. Dr. Georgia Ifatopoulou is the Deputy Director and Research Director at CERT-HIT, as mentioned, with professional and research experience for over 25 years in transport systems management and optimization. She is the head of the research department of HIT titled Intelligent Infrastructure and Networks, Sustainable Mobility and Logistics, and being assigned the scientific responsibility and the coordination of several research, consulting, and industrial projects in those topics. She has written numerous scientific papers and reports, always focusing on new technology implementation as enabler for transforming transport and mobility systems. Her work emphasizes on ITS and CATS for transport demand management and traffic management, on data sharing and big data analytics, as well as on tools and services development for supporting intermodality, as well as users and actors' visibility in passenger, freight transport and logistics. She's heavily involved in supporting policy formulation, implementation, and policy assessment for sustainable mobility for several bodies of the European Commission. And she has excellent knowledge of city challenges and of techniques for managing the change towards implementation of new mobility schemes. She has migrated from industry to academia terrain in 2004, and today she's committed to innovation, creation, and growth through collaboration. She's the managing director of the Thessaloniki Technology Park, an innovation multiplier company with stakeholders, all industrial associations and research organizations of Northern Greece, one of them being in mobility. She's supporting ecosystems towards city-led innovation for mobility as an important part of your daily work in the last 10 years in local ecosystems under European Union research projects and regional development projects. She's currently the coordinator of the Thessaloniki Smart Living Lab, a member of the European Association of Living Labs, and she is leading the initiative for the establishment of the National Cluster and Competence Center on Sustainable Mobility and City Logistics. She's also a member of the EU Digital Transport and Logistics Forum, an expert group formulated by DigiMove for supporting interoperability of technology platforms and services in transport and logistics, with a mandate to deliver the proposal for the European Federated Network of Platforms in Transport and Logistics Community. At a very personal level, allow me to tell you that this is indeed a short introduction for the profile of Dr. Ifatopoulou. Those of you that know her personally know the level of commitment and engagement she places at her professional life. So, Dr. Ifatopoulou, I'm very glad to have you as a keynote speaker today. The floor is yours. You need to unmute yourself and share the screen.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the very long introduction, actually. I'm going to share it. Okay. Yeah. Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here in this session, a special session. So my presentation outline is it has 7 parts. First, we try to answer to what we can learn from the COVID-19 high-level impact description, how urban mobility looks like after COVID-19, which are the new opportunities for transforming our cities towards smart and sustainable mobility. COVID-19 boost research and innovation, and then see how this has been happening and what is expected to happen in the future. A 5th point on what is this new normality that is created after the COVID-19 situation, which it seems it will continue. 6th chapter, the city as a living lab, how we can together, all the stakeholders can learn more about our cities and follow the developments. And finally, a few conclusions. So first, what we learned from the COVID-19 high-level impact description. There are many reports which, in fact, describes on the basis of very big analysis what is the impact of the COVID. And according to IMF, we have, of course, a big recession in the economy. The global economy will decrease by 3% this year. And this is described as the worst decline since the Great Depression of the 1930s. What that means for us that we are working in transport domain is that due to the GDP loss, the transport demand at all levels it will be decreased. Then if we look at this at the level of the observation of the energy consumption globally, we can see that during the COVID we had better air quality levels as a result of the lockdown, of course. And the global energy demand was decreased by almost 4%, and we expect an annual total of drop by 6%, which is, as you see in this diagram, it is compared with other very critical situations at the world level. But what that means to us is that all of us that were working a lot of environmentally friendly and green cities, we can in a way and change of energy consumption and decrease of energy consumption, we can quantify our possible goals. To what extent, what are the decrease, the maximum decrease that we can get? In fact, the coronavirus created the reference cases for us. So what we can do and what the maximum we can reach with all our policies for decreased energy consumption and making environment better. So taking this reference in our mind, we can go further and see that this COVID-19 impact the employment. So in this diagram, you see big, let's say, increase of unemployment. Here in France, in Italy, of course, is in the United States. What we can learn from that is that the users of the future transport systems and mobility systems will be able to pay less of what has been invested as part of the monthly income of the people in the transport and mobility. There are different general figures that has been calculated trying to describe the consequences of the COVID in transport. So over 4 billion people so far has been directly impacted by the lockdown. There is over 96 of the whole world destinations with travel restrictions. And the International Transport Forum estimates that the global passenger transport would drop by 16% in average. And global freight transport will decrease by 25% in 2020. However, if we see the specific figures in each one of the domains, in each one of the field of transport, then we can conclude that the average values for demand drop are not sufficient and should not be our guide in order to make our policies. We need better and more detailed quantification per sector and per transport system. and we need to give emphasis in urban transport because, for example, dropped of freight transport in 25% in 2020, but however, freight and city logistics has increased dramatically, and if we had this delivery demand to be let's say served during a normal operation of a city, then the situation would be very difficult for the city. Similarly, when we say global passenger transport dropped by 16%, we observe the figures in urban mobility are different. They're not at that level, and of course, if we consider with air transport, as is also described in this transparency, it is 42%. So average figures, we need to take them into account. However, keeping in our mind that more detailed analysis is needed by sector. Then, what are the other general figures that we can observe here? This is the travel industry, which has been badly damaged, and the airlines cutting flights, and customers cancellation, and business trips and holidays. As you see here, from the flight radar, the 2020 is the red line. We need, of course, different policies and tools for restructuring and for recovering from this situation in different transport sectors. And mobility and urban mobility is one of them. So not similar solutions, not horizontal solutions can be applied for the different cases. Another observation for the general figures, what we see here is that data describing mobility became more available in order to describe the coronavirus. So here you see by Apple the results, the data was there, so somebody followed. So you see Germany, Italy, United States, and United Kingdom recording mobility in the previous periods, and see here you see for Berlin changes regarding driving, working, and public transport percentages. So there are data there. We knew that there are. But there was the COVID created a situation that those that they keep and analyze this data, they make them public, and this is very good because then we can have thoughts of how we can use this data better. Also, the data describing mobility, it's not only that they become more available, but we see that they're coming from outside transport domain sources. Here you see the dashboard, the mobility dashboard, which has been released by Facebook, and compares the movement trends across the different United States dating back to March. And on the right side of the transparency, the Facebook dashboard, which also ranks states by percentage of people who are staying close, they're not moving. These different sources that again we knew they are there, now they confirm their ability to explain, to observe, to explain phenomena in transport and mobility. One more explanation of the general figures. So not only the data are available, but also data analysis to perform with this data can reach in depth in understanding, which is quite sufficient to support solutions, to support policies, of course, but also to support customized solutions, which most probably we need in the near future. So the impact analysis of the different policies is possible. What you see here in the right side of the transparency is that in fact, but for the impact in retail and recreation, in parks, in workspace, and others in transit stations, when the restrictions in events was created, when the restrictions in movements, in schools, closing of shops was happening. So having this data available, of course, we can think of the impact of the different measures, but also how we return back in normality. If we go to the second part, okay, this is what are the general, let's say, considerations when we see the general figures. At the second level, what we can answer ourselves and try to give, what we question ourselves and try to give answers is how urban mobility looks like after the COVID-19. So the figures presented the impact and the changes before. Let's see how it looks after the COVID-19. So during COVID guarantee, the citizens experienced the sustainable city. In Europe, we're speaking a lot. There is a big policy, urban mobility package policy, that tries to push the sustainable mobility in the cities of Europe. And we had a resistance to do that and difficulties. We had success stories also. However, what COVID created in our cities, we learned from our empty cities, empty from car cities, because the citizens experienced this sustainable city, and then the politicians were convinced they should take an action and to maintain some of those that has been created as scenarios of real operation of the cities during the coronavirus, to maintain them after this lockdown finishes. Here you see two photos from the old city of Thessaloniki, and this is the seaside of Thessaloniki, where during the coronavirus a lot of people were moving. After the COVID guarantee, the sustainable mobility decisions became easier. So immediately, increase of active modes was something that it was in front of the minds of the decision makers. New bike and pedestrian roads in many cities has been launched. The bike sharing, the micromobility systems have been generalized. New legal frameworks we have been found in order to speed up pedestrian roads development, because in Europe, depending on the country, we have sometimes differentiations about how much easy is to implement a pedestrian or a bicycle road. So things came much more quicker. We have even seen and experienced the piloting of pedestrian roads. So quick decisions that implement pedestrian laws and bicycle roads, and then it's like we're testing them. We can have them for specific hours of the day, and then see what the results in order to keep the piloting after the end of this period. Also, we have seen new approach in urban space use. There are good ones that I think some of you know, that everybody think of reallocating this urban space to more sustainable and more, let's say, good quality of life, let's say, operations for the citizens. I'm here putting also another negative or neutral, let's say, consideration. So there was the case actually in Greece, considering that a part of the road, one lane of the road, could also be given to coffee shops, bars and restaurants, in order to give them the possibility to become better as a situation due to to support the economic activities, which has really had very difficult time during the coronavirus. So we started thinking of the urban space with a different mind, and this is not it is general in all the cities. So there are new trends for urban space allocation as a result of the engaged citizens. The citizens now, they know that they can leave the road environment in a different way, and the urban environment in a different way, and so they are pushing towards that directions, the politicians. And here you see the outcome of a questionnaire of the YouGov survey towards the citizens who agree and who know to reserve more public space for walking, cycling, and the public transport. And you see here Italian cities, Spanish cities, UK cities having very strong, almost always it's around the 1/3 of the answers strongly recommended to do it. And then we are reaching almost the 50% of more than 50% agreeing, and only a few negative questions. So there is a new synergy that shows that the cities will change, and of course our mobility system will change. And this is not just a wishful thinking. Already there are reactions from the cities like Paris. 650 kilometers of cycleways were started being operated from the 11th of May. And a network of 9 protected cycleways linking the center of Paris with key suburbs, in fact connecting by bicycle long distance suburbs and commuters from these suburbs. That has been pursued, and also as you see here in the map, being integrated with public transport and metro. Similarly, in Midland, there are ambitious ideas. Here you see one road before and the road after, as it has been designed, and is going to be developed. The city has announced that 35 kilometers of streets will be transformed during that summer, with a rapid experimental citywide expansion of cycling and walking space. It's this type of situations also came in Greece, Spain, and in other countries. So this is the reaction from the cities. So if we can conclude at this chapter about what will be the COVID, the mobility after the COVID, there are challenges for the transport and mobility sector. We're going to have a change in mobility patterns aiming to slower spread of coronavirus. So physical distance and cleanliness were by far the two most important criteria during the lockdown for almost half of respondents to a survey that our institute has performed. And this will likely continue. So people will make the choice of their mode of transportation based on how they perceived the let's say the cleanness of the mode. Stay-at-home measures, teleworking is here and it will stay with us. So during the lockdown, more and more people started working remotely. They continue to remote workingly, and that, of course, will decrease as the demand. Public transport rush hours probably will change due to the previous development. We need to restore the lack of confidence in safety and hygiene in public mobility, in public transport mobility, due to the fear of getting infected. Users of the public transport still have increased levels of uncertainty, even though suggestions for passengers are followed inside the means, and so there is regulation that is respected. However, still the people, they don't feel comfortable with that. And also there is a new sharing attitude and increase of private car use. So people were moved toward private cars, even if the purchase of cars during the lockdown was impossible. Advertising and marketing campaigns were delivered, highlighting the safety advantages of buying a private car. And of course, we need to see the share means of transport in a different way. That is also concluded, as I said before, from a survey we did. It was a survey in the context of a project that we were running at that period. And it was open not only to Greece, but also to other participants from Europe. So you see there, the 70% feel unsecure traveling with public transport today, and almost 50% feel unsecure using the taxi. So in fact, we need to reconsider our policies for urban mobility. Public transport, they will need more funding, and as the demand will become lower. In the question of how likely it's for you to use public transport, bus, matter when the lockdown is over, again, the results were not very good. However, it seems that the users adapt, especially when they are captive to public transport and there is no other alternatives sufficiently covering their needs. However, the public transport needs additional funding in order to survive from this period. Also in the cases like the one that what is presented here in Germany, which shows that public transport was not affected even by the crisis, while all modes experienced a loss of ridership. Buses lost riders through proportionate to the overall decline in the mobility demand. Mobility with private vehicles, cycles, and walking increased during the quarantine, as it is presented here. So before and during the crisis. what that means is that, in fact, we need multimodal solutions for our passenger mobility for the future. So depending on the network, depending on the length of the public transport, on how much the people remain inside the bus or inside the metro, then their decisions varying and their behavior is changing. Most probably we need to create for each one of the cities, and in according to the behavior and the needs of our users, multimodal solutions, buses and metros, public transports, and micro mobility or bicycles, etc. We speak a lot about the new things that we have already in Europe, and we're pushing towards the shared bikes, shared cars, and we see a lot of impact to these modes. Here we have another result from our survey, how likely it is to you to share a car or taxi with someone towards same destination, and as you see, the 77% were negative from this survey. So the increase of personalized means of transport is the tendency. The mitigation of risk related to their use in a sharing scheme is a priority. So we need to focus on that, on how we make the shared solutions to be used to decrease the risks for the users. Equity provided to all the responsives, to all the users. So we speak to move from public transport to public transport on demand. We say that we need to have multimodality. However, we have to secure all the time that all the users of the network have ability to ride on a mean of transport which will be sustainable, but also will will fulfill their needs. So sharing mobility is an option for the public transport captives, and therefore we need to make sure that these means of transport, they will remain in our cities, and they will increase the level of security they give to the users to use it. Of course, the city is not just the mobility of passengers, it's also the logistics. During the early stage of the pandemic, the business-to-business logistics market increased. Impacts on the supply chain, decreased. Impacts on the supply chain has been made apparent. However, the business-to-consumer market, the fact that people were staying at home and the e-commerce was increased, created a lot of a big demand in the urban environment for providing the sales and for delivering. Even the retailers and even the supermarkets opened services towards the consumers. This created a landscape which put a lot of difficulties to the logistics sectors. What it comes out from this experience is that the champions, those that they survived and they provided good result, were those that were well organized in e-commerce. So they knew how to manage this and to manage also their warehouses and their stocks in view of an e-commerce operation. Those that they provided on-demand city logistics services, they were ready to use this type of services in order to reach their customers at their homes. The logistics companies that they were online, so they were able to provide visibility along the delivery and the ability to say to the customers when they will get their order. Those that they had more resilient supply chains, so they were able to react to the situation through new cooperations, new collaborations, and those who collected data and before coronavirus and increase their ability to collect the data and to have visibility during the coronavirus, which makes them to have very let's say documented decisions in order to manage this situation. Those are the characteristics of the champions. This concluded what is the situation after the coronavirus, which are the new opportunities for transforming the urban environment in smart and sustainable mobility and logistics environment. There are opportunities for the passenger mobility sector. New cities organization concepts and planning capacities at cities will grow. The fact that the municipalities were in front of the situation to take quick decisions, make them all these public authorities to understand that they need to have a capacity to have people educated to prepare operations and conditions in order to react to the situation. We also identify that we have shortages. And these shortages creates, in fact, some research requirements or requirements for the future to look at that. One thing is new transport forecasting model and impact analysis tools. There are some of them that there are under development. This need has been identified also earlier, in the Horizon 2020 program as funding this type of activities. However, there's still more to do on that, and especially on impact analysis tools, because we need very quickly estimations of scenario estimation about the impact of scenarios that they are not long term, scenarios that are short term, and we need quantification of short term impacts. We also realize that there is a need to continue to observe the mobility system and also the logistics similarly in urban environment in order to understand and to create solutions. The collaborative concept on collecting data is coming higher and higher since and sharing data, not collecting, but also sharing data. This is a collaborative approach for data gathering. Also, there was we identified that we need, let's say, resilience to be part of our design when we are thinking on multimodal urban transport networks. Multimodality is one way to achieve resilience. However, resilience has other characteristics on how we can secure that the minimum set of services and the minimum set of infrastructure at that level that can fulfill the specific requirements of a pandemic or of the situation that created under or during the COVID. These are also points of research and points of opportunities for those that can give efficient answers and then create solutions and in the cities. Informing users in real time is another opportunity. The information was booming during this COVID. Everybody was staying at home and was trying to identify information and knowledge about what is happening out there. And also the operators of the mobility and transport systems, they were supposed to communicate with their users in order to secure that the service is there, that the specific requirements are fulfilled. So we had seen transit systems letting users monitoring occupancy level on vehicles, so they can determine whether the bus or the metro or the train that they want to use it is available for them to be on board. Fusion from different data has been, let's say, applied already in order to provide applications of the travelers in the citizens in their mobile phones to see where COVID, let's say, where COVID is on a big increase or the situation is lower, and make their choices for traveling, for example. The other opportunity is the response to the demand. Using tool algorithms and machine learning principles, we need to help providers of public transport services to create responsive routes to meet changes in passenger demand and create new services like public transport on demand and others. Continuing on the opportunities for the passenger mobility sectors, leveraging new and safe or COVID-free mobility solutions is something that we are looking at by priority. So micromobility services like bike sales and electric scooters have expanded. We need to make sure that now they are understood and they secure towards their users the low risk and the no risk for the COVID. Reshaping public spacing in order to put all these, let's say, micromobility services. If we allow for increase of these systems, then of course we need to regulate where they are organized and optimize where this how the users they can get this service. Cooperation and acceleration of decision making and technology adoption. Everybody look at the technology to provide solutions. It's always like that when difficulties come. In the technology innovation, I add here cooperation. Local and state and national governments, they started working together. Also companies working together, trying to find solutions, exchange of ideas for solutions. So these are opportunities, and these are driving the research and innovation of the future. There are some trends in the cities, which comes from what we said before, as they will change the environment, urban environment, which can create also opportunities for big mega projects of technology and innovation application. This is the 15 to 20 minute cities that have been emerged as new trends that could help post-pandemic recovery. So the idea is the principle of proximity, diversity, density, and ubiquity to promote all these principles. This model would help global cities to provide equitable access to jobs and to city services. And the idea was before the COVID in Paris, but then it has been very much developed in other cities also. Excuse me, somebody's talking, but okay, I continue. I hear some voices, okay. So this trend has been taken not in Paris, but also in Milan, Barcelona, also outside Europe, Mexico City, Oregon. Of course, technology is needed in order to secure let's say in order to secure the connectivity of the users and the service providers in order to secure also access in cities that they will have a lot of more, let's say, closed solutions in areas where we don't give access to everybody. So dynamically allocate the space to the different users. This is also the case in the 20 minutes neighborhood, which is a similar concept that it comes in Glasgow. All the activities, they are coming together, and the infrastructures and the services which support these activities, they are supposed to be integrated in order to achieve these 20 minutes neighborhoods. And of course, that creates opportunity not only for smart cities technologies, but also for new services for sustainable urban mobility. And what it is logistics, COVID-19 changed significantly the ordinary city logistics operations. So shared mobility will be significantly changed. Individual vehicles will replace such solutions. The number of delivery vehicles is expected to be increased globally by 36% through the 2030 in urban environment. This is why I said global figures should look we look at them with consideration. We need more to analyze in an urban environment. So if we leave this to continue without effective interventions, emissions and traffic congestion would likely to increase. What COVID created? COVID accelerated digitization and electrification. So everybody turned easily to electric cars in order to have sustainable solutions. It drives also the consolidation. So we have seen that the request is for small parcels with many products in the same parcel. So we need to see how consolidation can be achieved in a better way. Led to a stronger traffic regulation. Everybody says that we need to arrange these vehicles, how we will manage them in the traffic. It fostered the new hybrid online and offline retail business models, which will have more impact that we study right now. What will be the impact? And also drive the contactless, unattended, and autonomous delivery technologies. These technologies, that there was logistics is a sector where new technologies cannot come very easily. Now we see that even autonomous delivery to use the sidewalk are considered for delivering at homes. So this can be, let's say, the typical the typical post-COVID city logistics solutions. So lockers over here. Consolidations, not in the way that we have, let's say, a big one, but probably smaller ones, not at the level of lockers, which is micro consolidation, but not the big one, what we call, let's say, freight hotels. So areas where logistics actors, they can host their operations in order to be as much as closer to the demand and trying to decrease the number of drive kilometers. Last mile transportation, of course, with also with autonomous. There is a lot of using ITS technologies and systems in order to have to handle lanes of the road in particular zones, with giving a priority to, let's say, to freight vehicles when they are really loaded up to a level, because we don't want to have empty runs in the city center. Of course, the drones and the EVs, and there are considerations about measures and policies, regulation for night deliveries, double parking enforcement, etc., which again they are going to see, they are accelerated, they will come earlier of what expected in our cities. And similarly, the opportunities in the logistics sectors, we're using data from sensors. Sensors are low cost now. They can be located in many places along the chain, on the parcels, different type of technologies that can be integrated. And in fact, they can give accurate monitoring and adjust the movement of the goods and maximize their efficiency, and even simulate complex supply networks, which is in fact the logistics 4.0 in accordance to industry 4.0 tendencies that we're going to have in the city, in the urban area. The other opportunities to the need for transforming the last mile to safe and sustainable future. So contactless last mile, again, the autonomous technology, the drones, leading logistics companies to use more connected technologies to collect and share data and share it with the citizens, crowdsourcing solutions, making the citizens and the travelers to be part of the solutions toward part of the delivery chain until the final deposit to the customer. Assuming that this description is of what it will be the situation after COVID and what are the opportunities, I would like to share you some existing outcomes on how COVID-19 boosts research and innovation towards COVID-free urban mobility and logistics solutions. And I will use for that the input that are coming from knowledge innovation from KIC Mobility. First, let me summarize that already there are mobile applications for digital contact tracing during the COVID-19. There is a new dimension of safe trips as it is understood. People begin to driving again. A safe trip will likely also mean that there is a sanitary and hygienic, let's say, mode and trip. So how the user understands it. There are UVC solutions that are already in use in order to make to secure the sanitary and hygienic level of the means of transport to be used, and also solutions that try to see how we stop the modal shift from public transport to the private modes, how we increase the sharing, the share modes, and they use them by the citizens of the cities. So in the Urban Mobility KIC, the Knowledge Innovation Community and Urban Mobility, our institute is a core partner there. This community around Europe immediately responded to that and created a call in order to accelerate the process of ensuring good solutions, innovative solutions. There was a big call. 11 projects has been funded, and they are related to shared mobility, to new use of space and COVID-free habits, public space and public transport and terminals, hygienic standard securing, models, tool and ICT to avoid crowded areas, support to vulnerable people during COVID, and city logistics. There were some of these solutions. In our institute, we have one project of that, the Common Safe, that has been granted to us and for which we are working based on shared mobility for ecosystems. What is important to say here is that in this call, which was very quickly announced by the KIC Mobility, there was 100 projects that has been that has been submitted. So there is a community over there of companies with solutions, and from cities and the organization, they look for answers, and putting them together is something that can quickly create innovation and drive the research results to the real implementation. What we in our project, what we are looking on how organized ecosystems in a city, because people there, they know each other, how on the basis, of course, of clean COVID-free vehicles, we can convince the users to make carpooling or sharing their vehicles, and study the attitude of that. So testing also this technology that makes these vehicles COVID-free, and in order to communicate these results also to the users and maintain the outcome that this is possible, it can happen. Similarly here, you see some other projects. So city resilience, safe transport for all. This is reliable taxi sharing, COVID adapted motor sharing services, again on car sharing industry, where there are a lot of impact due to the COVID. Rapid prototype in 3D, that is a very interesting idea. It's projects that are using 3D in order to support the cities to understand what is the transformation they want to do they're going to, how it will look like, turning a road in a bicycle or in a pedestrian part, and how you convince through that the citizens to be engaged and the others to stakeholders to take decision as appropriate. Again, other CD Clean, it's about technologies for making COVID-free, the means of transport, and we can have a lot of them here. As you see, only a few in logistics and space, a lot on vulnerable people. Here was place and space again, place and people, the priority. The idea is that there are already solutions, there are ideas that can quickly turn from research to innovation, and this is going to be the reality of tomorrow in this research and innovation environment where some of us were working. Fifth point of the presentation: post-COVID-19 new normality in urban mobility and logistics. So we are getting in a new era, in a new situation. The trends are here. The trip substitution via digitization, the automated vehicles, the optimization through technology of logistics supply chains, all that creates new situation and actually creates new business models related to this trend. So we need to prepare, not only, we don't need just research and innovative products. We need a more enhanced approach to urban mobility and logistics. affecting all the levels of the planning, of the organization, of the put in operation of these services. So even business models should be reconsidered. Financial instruments should be looked again. Policymakers and urban planners and transport investors should consider new mechanisms and revenue flows for investing and making available services as they are needed by the users, who, as we said, they will not be able to pay more of what they paid before coronavirus. They most probably are ready to pay less. And of course, increase of non-motorized active mobility and creates the infrastructure, the new physical infrastructure for the benefit of the environment, for the benefit of the active modes. These are the landscape as created for the urban mobility, for the logistics. The logistics providers will need to optimize and automate as much as possible and collaborate with others to operate safely and efficiently, preemptively. As the world adjusts to new normal, the safe and efficient movement of goods is at the very heart of the economic recovery, with emphasis to urban economies. So in fact, we need an innovative approach, which as COVID saw us the way right now, we need to accelerate in the digital transformation. So from service to service, from face-to-face relationships to personal multi-channel relationship, from follow-up and individual learning to massive commitment to everyone, learning from each other and achieving knowledge. How to do procedures. We are moving to procedure are done alone, as we did it together. Then on and off, one-time help, continuous help. This is the new innovative approach where services, means of transport, even behaviors, they need to adapt. So they look for a new normality, and at the level of the technology, COVID has demonstrated the importance of the digital readiness, and we need to continue on that. Online shopping and deliveries, they need to be supported by robust logistics systems. In-person deliveries is not virus-proof, so we need to think on all our ideas again. Digital and contactless payments. Digital payment enable people to make online purchases. This will continue in security and safety technologies for guaranteeing security in all this process of payment and of visibility needs to be established. Remote work. Many companies have been asking employees to work from home, so remote work is enabled by technologies. These technologies need to be easy and open and interoperable for everybody. Of course, supply chain for us, it was said before. New normality for operation, so companies can deploy digital solution reaching across the end-to-end value chain to address planning challenges, identify disruptions. There is a lot of research that can be that needs to be made in the future, in the forthcoming years, in order to see how we identify the disruptions and how we manage and decrease the impact of these disruptions, especially in the supply chain. We also need a change in the mindsets, increasing asset utilization and efficiency. Automated equipment monitoring, process control systems. They support the continuity of operations, and these systems can further optimize the operating equipment and process parameters. This is not only for logistics, this is also for public transport and for all the possibilities of new mobility services that we can see in the forthcoming period in the cities. Improved quality. It's not only to improve day-to-day operation. The technology can help us there, but also we need to go in a better quality management. So it's not enough to make quality assessment and quality monitoring in the way we were doing in the transport sector. We need more visibility of this quality assessment and the securing of the quality towards our customer. And again, the technology can help us. Boosting employee safety and operational continuity. Again, digital technologies can enable remote work and collaboration, and also to the companies that they provide the services in transport and in logistics, in mobility and in logistics. The productivity and the performance management is something that is going to take a lot of emphasis and analysis, and again, digital solutions can support this. At the level of the transport modes that we will see in our future cities, we said before, we said here that public transport use should be supported, and we should provide the new infrastructure and the new possibilities of accessing the citizens to access the active mode, cycling and walking. We need most probably a new governance in the cities in order to achieve this multimodality and secure the modes being resilient and available all the time for the citizens. The new normality also shows the way for new business models. The date models have been advanced by the vision of a sustainable new world. We need to accelerate further to that. COVID gave the opportunity for quick new business models being implemented. We have seen more collaborative business models, at least at the city logistics area. So we need to see further how we transfer that also in the multimodality environment of the future. Now, regarding the planning and the system operation, here reclaim the road space, invest in public transport, enhance smart mobility, and invest in city centers and neighborhoods. From what it has been presented before, are the new pillars, the 4 pillars of the new normality in planning. However, what we need in order to make better planning and to make planning achieving resilience by design is that this what it is mentioned here at the last point, the city as a living ground for mobility and logistics. There is a need for continuous observation and data analysis of the mobility systems and the users and how they behave in order to make a dynamically assessment of the situation and manage the change through mutual understanding and agreement. What has been painful in the past to make common understanding and joint acceptance and joint decisions for accepting new means of transport and new solutions, we need now to make it happening much more quickly in our cities. So a few words, a few thoughts about the city as a living lab. I share here what we have as a living lab here in Thessaloniki. What is a living lab? Is let's say is an infrastructure and stakeholders that they agree to collaborate in order to create, to sense the city, so observe what is happening in the city regarding mobility and logistics, creating knowledge, visualize what is really happening in a way that all the stakeholders, that they have different experience and different priorities, understand the same thing, so they can come together in a co-creation for the solution and in agreement for a measured implementation. This is based on novel technologies that applied in the city in order to be sensed. So the city of Thessaloniki is our open laboratory for our research organization, and there is a lot of ITS and CATS infrastructure in the region, but also in the city network. that is providing continuous data and creates also a test bed for new solutions in the city of Thessaloniki. There are also private ITS systems from private fleets that they are open and provide real-time data, which allowed us, of course, to develop, implement, and deploy, test, and assess new mobility solutions and services in real-world environment. If you, the Thessaloniki Smart Mobility Living Lab is one of the living labs of the European network of living labs, and you can find more about this Thessaloniki Smart Mobility Living Lab and then all in the appropriate links. Here you see how this living lab collecting and fusing data from different cases has allow us to monitoring, and we monitoring the periods, the 3 periods of the lockdown in Thessaloniki. So by having all this information and restructuring the past, we give the possibility to support the decision, and also people understand why they need to share the data, and it goes together, and the living labs increases in members and in stakeholders providing input. Here are the quantification of of what has happened during the coronavirus in Thessaloniki. Even the accidents has been identified here. The reduction in the social activities, since we are getting data from different sources. Here are different types of data reported, like leisure activities per venue category, from social media, taxi trips, from data from fleets, and bike rental from the bike sharing system in Thessaloniki. All this gives us more evidence of user behavior, and gives us also the possibility to influence the choice of the users in the after COVID lockdown period. And we hope it will remain like this. We don't have a new lockdown. The data guides us. So it's here, as you see, is the data is the taxi trips and vehicles in a period, and then after the coronavirus, and we see how we guide the measure selection for the authorities, and how we can justify their decisions. Continues, like here are the Bluetooth network, IoT devices in all the city that we're collecting data, and we can also have the assessment of the impact of the different measures during the COVID and after the COVID in the city. This type of data, as you see now, are not good for the decision makers. But for these reasons, there are dashboards that they represent the outcome in the proper way for all of them to understand that, and to see. The COVID, there is a proof here of the services that this living lab give us the possibility to provide, which is a COVID-free pedestrian routing. In fact, our idea is to provide a comprehensive routing service for pedestrian and minibuses, in order for the citizens to avoid the areas where there's a lot of coronavirus, or there's a lot of population and social distancing is not kept. Of course, it's a routing with the shortest path. However, taking into account a lot of information which comes from different sources, like and data from bike sharing users about the citizens in leisure activities, about the e-scooters trip ends, so about parking usage, telecom data, Bluetooth detectors that there are organized and established in the network. So what that proves, that if we collect all of this data, that we can provide a very comprehensive service to the users in order to increase their COVID-free pedestrian route or bicycle route in an area. I think we can conclude with this transparency. The next jump will only be possible by making possible the real use of data, integrating the Internet of Things in our business, creating better products and services that improve people's life. So research and innovation has an excellent opportunity window here in order to develop methods and tools based on this, and develop new techniques to serve these better products and services. These days are a precious challenge. It is a golden opportunity to integrate technology into our daily lives and to work better and to collaborate in a better way, and to solve problems in a more co-creation approach. It is necessary to reconsider our priorities for sustainable urban mobility policy in the context of the comments I made before about what we fund, and if the public transport will be the same or it will change, if the shared services will be the same or it will change. For when everything seems to be going to get worse, create a better world. So let's get the opportunity. I hope this speech makes you to think on ideas for research and innovation that will lead us to that direction. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Papadopoulou, for the very timely and thorough analysis of yours concerning the new situation in the post-COVID era. I would like to ask if there are any questions by the attendees to the speakers. If there is a question, you can unmute your microphone and directly ask Ms. Papadopoulou. I have one, and I think I have done that once.
I can also have one.
No, this is not allowed. It would be strange if you have questions to your own presentation.
Not my presentation to the audience.
The question, Ms. Papadopoulou, is if you could briefly share with us your thoughts on how new technologies and ITS technologies in particular would play a role in this post-COVID era.
Okay. Yeah, I believe that especially in mobility, in passenger mobility, and to an extent in freight, but not city logistics, but freight vehicles mobility, I think ITS has a predominant role. We need first of all systems that they are manage better, optimize this network. You can imagine we speak right now that we are reallocate the public space in a different way, and that it comes in the level of capacity. So just having from two lanes to having one lane for the cars and then allocate it to others. Or, as I mentioned before, by conceiving a different way the operation. The 15 minutes or the 20 minutes neighborhood is something that reshapes completely the way we're using this infrastructure. So all the intelligent transport system we knew up to now on managing the current situations, and the research was focusing on how we will go for autonomous, automated, let's say, technologies, which are still valid, and we need to continue to work that. There is a new needs there. We have new needs in order to manage the freight in a different way, in a dynamic way, in order to manage the pedestrians, the traffic, the let's say the scooters traffic. So we have new means of transport, and we need to allocate and to manage the capacity in a different way. So ITS and cooperative ITS, since the user needs to speak with the infrastructure in order to make the best possible, let's say, use of this capacity, I think it will be at the very high of the priority of the research, and also of the industrial research, not only the academic research, but also the industrial research. I think the industry will give quicker answers than what we expect.
Thank you very much. I will ask once again if there are any questions from the audience.
It's late, Evangeline.
It's late. Okay, then I would like to thank you also personally for being with us here as a keynote speaker. It was, I think, one of the most timely topics. It is the most timely topic in transportation right now. All the issues you covered for both passenger and freight transport. Thank you very much. And also I would like to thank the large amount of participants that stayed with us until that time throughout the world.
Thank you very much, Evangelos. Thank you all the audience, and thank you also for organizing all this conference and putting all your effort in having a successful IEEE conference. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I hope that people are able to appreciate those efforts.
I have a wish. The next one, this one was supposed to come to happen in Rhodes. Huh?
Okay.
So the next one is going to allow us physically meet, or one of the next ones, and solve this problem. And we will, at that moment, we will have speeches just assessing how COVID create the opportunity. We just mentioned the opportunity. Let's see how we will grab the opportunity and do something. Okay.
Let's see. Perhaps in a couple of years from now.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Just to inform everybody, right now there will be a social event starting with 10 minutes delay, but it's okay. It's about history of arts in ancient Greece. You have the links to connect for those who are interested. Thank you. Bye.